shit's fire.
This is a fucking banger.
Ladies and gentlemen, cats, snakes, dogs, chicken, elderly people, workers, and twerkers.
Damn.
Turn it up.
I don't give a fuck. It's the Ruckus. What the fuck you expect?
I body slapped my wife, my nigga.
I'm taking the words from the legendary Patrice O'Neal. Our job is to have fun, and their job to be jealous of our funness.
Okay, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna try to be as politically. I'm gonna say something, and I'm gonna try to be as politically correct as possible. So y'all will read through the lines. I do think it's important that men have spaces where men can talk about things unfiltered.
And women too. Yeah.
But the thing is that when you say that, a lot of women take it as being, well, men don't want us around, and men want to. But my thing is, I just think that we need to have spaces where we could talk about. It could be rude, crude, or we could talk about.
I could fucking fart.
Everyone needs
to forward to what you're saying. Yeah, I don't want to fucking have you around sometimes because you fucking annoy me. I don't fucking have you around. It's plain simple. I want to have guy fun. Your woman fun sucks. I don't want you to be part of the guys. They're vagina for a reason.
We are keeping that.
Good. Yeah, keep it all.
No, but I think it's true. I do think that it's important for us to have, but I think also, women need to have that as well. I don't think all day, every day we should spend.
You want to know a dirty secret? Do you want to know a dirty secret, Lou?
Hell no.
What's up?
Women know that their women fun sucks. That when it comes to us, because we know we're better than them when it comes to having fun. Their women fun sucks. That when it comes to playing a basketball team, because they don't want to fucking play good basketball. When you see a freestyle fight, they want to freestyle with the girls.
Nah,
they want to freestyle with the big boys.
You can't say that.
They know they suck.
Nah, they have their fun sometimes, but
look at that. Yeah, like look, the one thing my wife I can say during the time, my wife used to hate those fucking shows like Ellen and the Talk and all that shit. Cause that women showing, you go girl, come on, put your hands together and have some. They know they fucking choices. Now watch some shit like the Man Show.
Mike just got us canceled before we had our 10th episode.
To
the people listening to us, we appreciate you listening to us for those 10 episodes. Our crew in Germany, thank you, Guten Tag.
Guten Tag is not done. It's not done.
I think this is something also that needs to be talked about all this getting canceled and all these guys are like everything. Like you should be able to disagree with somebody and keep it moving. Like it's not that serious. It's not that there's somebody. Oh, this is horrible. Look at these 10 pieces of shit.
It depends what it is. It depends what it is. Some things you don't just ignore.
If it's hatred,
exactly.
But if it's not hatred, if it's just.
But if it's not hatred, you're trying to be funny. Like don't be fucking ruin your fuck shit because you don't want to enjoy our funniness.
Yeah, that's different.
Because you know we're being funny and you know we're being serious. And sometimes when we're being funny, we have to offend you sometimes. You have to take it.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree. You know what? I'll be honest, man. Not too long ago, I was more on the extreme on that. I was like, yo, but sometimes we just gotta kind of let things roll. Like, and not everything that offends me offends everybody else, and vice versa. Yeah. So I can't project what offends me and be like, yo, Mike, this should offend you too. Like, some shit just doesn't offend people the same way. That offends me.
That's offensive, dude.
No.
I'm offended that you said that, Lou.
Bazinga. So listen, I got a question. Oh, go ahead, Alex.
So do you really feel that, and this is just a question, do you really feel that women are inferior to men in everything?
Damn, bro, what kind of question is that?
Wait, what's the question? I missed it. What's the question?
He mentioned a bunch of things, and he said that they suck. So I was like wondering. I'm like, I've heard nasty female rappers that can freestyle and actually beat dudes. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That's what I'm asking. Like, and he said in basketball, I've seen actually women's basketball has more fundamentals in the game than actually men's basketball. They just can't dunk.
I want to say a terrible joke. That's what I want to say. I want to say a joke about that.
Go, Mike.
Say your joke.
No. Forget it. Go. I'm not gonna be evil yet. Go.
No. I was just giving my answer, my examples for my question. why I'm asking the question.
Loco, sin miedo, sin miedo.
No, I'm gonna say I did not pay to see a woman to see a 360 layup.
My God.
I'll tell you this though, my son actually watches WNBA now. Because he got me into it. He got me into it.
To our 3 female listeners, thank you for following the podcast till now. We will see you.
I saw on ESPN somebody scored 50 points.
That what?
Somebody scored 50 points. I forgot who she was. I didn't see her name. To be
Wait,
honest.
who?
I just saw she scored 50 points. Somebody in the WNBA.
So listen, I played. I love basketball. I think basketball is one of the few sports where a woman would be able to step on a court, and if she's got the skills, she could play NBA ball. And I don't think every woman can. There's a definite physical difference between men and women. But I played with women who will just cross the shit out of a man. They might not be able to dunk.
I got crossed.
I've been crossed by a woman, and I don't have any shame of saying that because the woman was a baller. So,
and you're a D1 player, by the way.
I don't have any shame of saying, like, I've played against some really good competition in different places. Some women can just ball the fuck out, and I always like seeing when women who can ball step on a court, and you got all the guys be like, "Well, I'm gonna guard her because she's whack," and then she comes up and she crosses the shit out, and then all the dudes be like, "My man, you need to sit the fuck down and pick her," and that dude's sit the fuck over there.
When I got crossed,
Lou, you remember freaking in Arlington, Annabelle?
I remember her. Yeah, we went to school together.
Yeah. Yo, her game was bananas in high school. She's a beast.
She was a baller. She was a fucking beast. She was a beast.
And I think she went to your school too in high school.
Yeah, we went to high school together. I saw her play up close. I played against her. She would play against the guys. The guys would not take it easy on her, and she stepped up her fucking game, and she balled the fuck out, and she would get her. Yeah, there was a physical difference. She was shorter and smaller, so obviously that was a disadvantage. But she knew the fucking game. Like, she knew how to do back, cuts and passes and shoot her jump shot, get open. My man.
Yeah. No.
And I would watch her play. I would watch her play, by the way.
Funny. Well, you know how she got to your school, right? Like, here's a story behind that. She went to high school with me. No, shut up. She went to school with me first at Whittier. And she was just
I remember that.
Okay, so she went to school with me in Whittier in Haverhill, and she was like so advanced that like, yo, we got to take her something else because she could go somewhere with that. So she ended up going to your school, and then like I ended up linking up with her because the school she went to in Connecticut, I had people that I knew that I went out there. So we kind of like linked up again briefly when she went to school out there, and she was killing it out there in Connecticut, killing it.
So you watched?
So, I watched the videos, but I always been watching her I watched the video, and it was like she stepped it up.
She was a baller.
And she could have gone pro too. She could have gone pro. I don't know what happened afterwards, but she could have gone pro.
She was a baller. Listen, I like watching women's sports, and it's not a gender thing because I just love basketball, so I just love good basketball.
Bruh. Fucking dickhead. We can never be serious.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if you give me a 5-on-5 or a 3-on-3, and it's 6 women who can ball, or 6 guys who suck at ass, I'm gonna watch the 6 women who can ball the fuck out. Like, I just want to watch good basketball. You know what I'm saying? I remember as a kid, I used to watch UConn versus Tennessee. Like, for me, when
UConn, forget about it, man. That female team, they've been shit. UConn
when they had Diana Taurasi, UConn versus Tennessee, back in the mid 90s or 2000s, that would be one of the top rated shows on ESPN, bro. I would fucking be glued, and it was good basketball. Like, they couldn't dunk. I feel you. You're like, you want to watch a dunk, but if you love basketball, bro, that was some shit to fucking watch. But that's not everybody's bag.
Lou, who between WNBA and NBA, who uses more fundamentals?
WNBA basketball for sure.
Okay.
But you know what though? That's. I mean, I don't want to step too much out of my boundaries. No, I just think there's a physical difference between men and women, and men don't need to learn the fundamentals because they can just jump over you and dunk on you
or barrel through.
Yeah, the physical shit.
The good Blake Griffin.
Physicality.
Yeah, like Blake Griffin is not a good basketball player. What's his name?
You said that.
No.
Shout out to Blake Griffin. He said that.
Boy.
He's funny though.
Anthony Davis is not a good basketball player.
Yo, don't you dare say
No,
like that.
he is.
What's his name from Milwaukee? Antetokounmpo.
Oh,
No, he is. He's more physicality than.
He got height.
Yeah,
he got height.
But he got better. He got better. His game progressed in the NBA more. He learned how to play basketball in the NBA.
He is not a good basketball player. He is a great athlete. He's 7 feet tall and can run like Usain Bolt.
A buck.
Yeah.
A buck.
Yeah. He literally is a buck.
I want to dispute what you're saying, Lou, because I heard that from a lot of people. Not to say that he's not bad, but he's not as great as people make it out to be. He got the fundamentals, but he got a height, so the height will save him.
Listen, he's 7 feet tall. Luka's a fucking beast. But he understands the game.
No, Luka's
a
playing soccer out there.
Yeah, like
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but he understands. But that's what I'm saying. Like you know the guys who understand the game, and you understand the guys who are just physically gifted. And a guy like a Luka, you watch him play, he understands the game. LeBron James, to me, he understands the fucking game. Like he knows where he is, and he knows where everybody else needs to be. You know who else was like that years ago? Chauncey Billups. I was mad when the Celtics.
Good one.
I was mad when the Celtics traded him away. He came out of Colorado. I knew he was going to be good. The Celtics traded him away. I was like, that is a huge mistake. And he understood the fucking game.
Yeah.
But there are people who aren't, like Joel Embiid. He's just an athlete. The kid's tall.
Yeah, but he learned too.
Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons. He's another athlete. The Ball brothers.
Will you pull on playoff P over there too? Playoff P? Paul?
Nah.
Paul
yeah, he plays. He can play. He just
sucks in the playoffs.
It's nerves.
Yeah, he just doesn't have. He doesn't have that killer mentality. He's great. He's talented. I just don't think he's superstar material. He just doesn't have that, like, I want to win. I'm gonna take this from you. Yeah, he just doesn't have it, which is boring for me. Like,
fair enough.
You know, he's talented. He's talented. You know who else is talented and doesn't have that for me? Kevin Durant.
You think?
Really?
Maybe. Yeah.
Don't you dare say
he doesn't have the killer. He doesn't have the killer. He doesn't have the killer mentality.
He's probably more talented than LeBron James. And yet he's never. Yeah. Think about it.
LeBron is best at both. He's at peak level in the talent, at peak level
IQ.
Yeah, because to be a good basketball player, you have to have the IQ, and LeBron has that. And then you have the physicality aspect of it. My God, this dude is 37. Look at him; he's running out there with these 20-year-olds, 40 minutes a night, bro. That man's a beast, bro. I've developed a respect for LeBron tremendously throughout these years. But I again, you can go back in the tape. I wasn't a really LeBron fan because of shit he said back in the day. We can discuss that one day, but. Now
that's the thing. This is what I'm saying. The difference between LeBron James and the rest of the NBA is that he has that sort of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant mentality. Like
he's the face.
He wants to win. Like
he wants to win.
He wants to win. And I don't think every player in the NBA has that mentality. And that's the difference between him and Kevin Durant. Like I really feel like Kevin Durant is still focused on other things.
Money.
Like making money or stats or I don't know. He just
I get what you're saying. And one of the issues with LeBron, you made a good point. He wants to win, but he wants to win. He wants to win, but at the same time, he wants to win with the team. And sometimes you have to learn how to take charge. So I have the issue with him being that killer mentality, like the way Kobe had it. Like, I got my team, but your niggas fucking I'm taking over the show right now. That's the issue. I don't see him taking over the show. I see him like more of a passer. He's more like a Magic-ish kind of thing. And I saw that when he played with Miami. That it's time to look like. You can make that critique. I think it is a valid critique to make. And it looked like that because it was time that Wayne took over. Dwayne took over when it was a big three. Like you expect LeBron to do shit, and Dwayne was like, "Give me the ball, it's mine."
I feel you on that point. I do think he doesn't have that Michael Jordan. That's the difference with that I think you put Michael Jordan and Kobe in a different category.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be the ones to take the last shot. And I think LeBron is okay with deferring to somebody else.
Yeah. And the one time I did see him have that killer mentality is when he won it with Golden State. That was the one time I really saying like, yo, I want this, and I'm taking over. I'm taking over this shit.
ESPN did like a review, and it said that LeBron James has the highest field goal percentage in the last minute of an NBA game in the playoffs, higher than Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant. He's made more shots in the final minute of a game with the game on the line than any other player in NBA history. So I think there's also this perception that he defers a lot, which I think he does, but I also do think that, listen, we're never going to see another player in NBA history like LeBron. He took 3 different teams to championships, and every single team that has beat him has had to form super teams to be able to beat LeBron James. Like, that's fucking insane. There was a game that he played, I think it was 2011, 2012 maybe? No, 2008, where he went to the playoffs with the Cavs, and in overtime, he scored like 20-something points against the Detroit Pistons.
I remember that game. Yeah. It was like 1 versus 5 pretty much. I remember that game.
It was 1 versus 5. And like, this is, you need 5 players to stop this man when he was at his prime.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's barbershop talk when we talk about LeBron. But
yeah, man, I think in retrospect, when everything is all said and done, we'll give that man his due. You know what I mean? He had his flaws like every other player, but I think once everything else said and done, we give him his props.
So let me ask you a question, because we had talked about this, and I just really want your opinion, and anybody could chime in. But what are you gonna do looking forward to Black Republicans and Black hip hoppers who supported Donald Trump? Are you canceling Ice Cube, Kodak Black, Lil Wayne, or are you still fucking with them, even though they like? What's your opinion on that?
I'm still fucking with the music, because here's the thing, like, I keep saying it over and over again, and people seem to beg to differ. It's not cool to be a Black Republican and a Black conservative. No matter how many times people keep saying it's not about that, it is about that, because the Democratic Party has done a good job to put us in their pocket. You know what I mean? We could go back. Have you ever seen the James Brown documentary on Netflix?
I've seen it. Yeah. I've seen it.
So you remember that scene when he supported Nixon?
Yep, I remember. He got a whole bunch.
Yo, they killed him. When Sammy Davis supported his Nixon, they killed him. Yo, Eazy-E, not even a politician. He got invited to a fucking Republicans dinner. They fucking killed him. He had to be like, yo, I'm not even that. He had like screamed it loud, yo, I'm not even that. I just got invited to a dinner, and it was promotion. You know what I'm saying? So there's something about that we can't get on that side. I think the only person that got props for joining that team was probably Colin Powell, closest one. You know what I mean? Because of the shit that he did, and he got flack with the whole weapon of mass destruction and siding with Bush. But with me in person, because like I said, I stress this over and over again. Like, I know what it's like when you don't agree with politics and people really like cut you out. And I don't mean I don't invite you for Christmas dinner and I'm deleting you off Facebook. Like, my family didn't agree with the politics, and they literally put guns in their head, so they get the fuck out. Say goodbye to your family, say goodbye to your peoples. You ain't coming to this country ever again. So the 2 things that people don't like to talk about is religion and politics. I don't let that separate me from my friends and family. And even if you do agree with the family,
has anybody ever questioned your Blackness or your Cuban identity? Because I know you're a Democrat, you've voted Democrat, but I do also understand you do have some conservative perspectives. Has anybody ever questioned your Blackness because of that? Like, say, yo, Mike, you support this policy.
And I had to check them. I had to check them early, because you know what I did? Everything that they fucking typecast for Black people doing, you know what I mean? I had somebody that had the nerve, say like, are you Black? You know what I mean? It was some chick. And I'm like, well, let's see. Just to be a smart ass, I'm like, well, I listen to hip hop. I vote blue. I wear Jordans. I eat Popeye's chicken. You want me to keep going? And she got pissed in that department. You know what I'm saying? Even when my friends,
was the girl Black? She was Black?
Of course she was. Okay. Annoying. Fucking annoying. But, gotcha, bitch. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there you go. But, even with my friends, it's like, when I have these political talks, or the case may be, like, I know I joke with you guys, you know what I mean, when it comes to me, rocking a conservative, whatever the case may be. Like, the second I go the other side, they pull the whole, you must be a Trump supporter. I'm like, nigga, really? And I'm like, you're supposed to be a Christian. You know what I'm saying? You fucking support everything that, you know what I mean, You're supposed to you're supposed to be so, what's the word I'm looking for? Non-judgment and, support tolerance. And the second I don't say some shit you're not rocking with, you're doing this. You know what I'm saying? They try to, man, but I check them early. And my thing is like, yo, let's have a conversation. That's what I'm like. The way I have a conversation with you guys, just have a conversation, understand where I'm coming from. To this day, people got this misconception that Cubans just love Fidel Castro, and that is fucking far from the truth. But the problem is, no one wants to listen to it.
Here's the thing, Mike. When I was, I used to rock a Che Guevara shirt up and down all day, every day. Like and then I woke up and did some reading, and but yeah, there's definitely a misconception on if you're Cuban, you like. Well, if you're Cuban, you like Fidel, but there's also people understand that if you're Cuban, you hate Fidel. But people who follow that narrative, they get confused when you say, yeah, I'm Cuban and I don't like Fidel. And they get angry at you, be like, yo, but you're Cuban, you're supposed to like Fidel. In Brazil, it's really crazy because a lot of people...
that's something maybe one day we can get into another conversation because I need to do some research on all that. On Che and Fidel and everything, but just looking at the country how it is now, how would you like somebody that didn't let you see your family forever? Like, it's like I know I have Cuban friends, or one Cuban friend who came from Cuba. She was little, and she wasn't to be able to go back till I think recently. When was this? Like 2016, I think it was.
Hold up, we're blaming that on Cuba instead of the United States?
No, Fidel.
Cuba. Yeah, it's Cuba. Yeah, for
no, you couldn't go in there with the American citizenship, Kelvin.
You can't go.
Gotcha.
Yeah, like
I think the point Kelvin is making is that whose fault is that? Is that the U.S. government not letting you go there, or is that the Cuban government?
Yeah,
no, Cuban government, bro.
That's the Cuban government. That's
okay.
Cuban government.
Okay. Just want to be sure.
Yeah, it's Cuban government.
I'm saying it's both. The American government doesn't want to let you go, but if you do go, the Cuban government won't let you leave.
Yeah, so go figure. Go fucking
so it's
figure.
both of them.
Yeah, but the problem is, like, I understand to America's thing because of the little war thing. With the Cuban thing, it's like I'm more mad at the Cuban because we're supposed to be quote unquote family. So I don't agree with you. You're gonna fucking kick me out the house. You know what I'm saying? And not only that, you don't fucking. I'm not supposed to be back in my own house. And then if I do come back to your house, I have to pay a fee and I have to pay every 2 years. That's damn near extortion. You're extorting me to fucking to be at my house I was born at. You know what I mean? It's a slap in the face. So, I mean, I blame them definitely with that department. I'll tell you a funny story because I had a strange misconception with Che, and I thought he was, I thought he was a complicated person, did fuck shit, and he was trying to do good. I went to Mexico with my uncle, and I bought 2 Che Guevara shirts, because I thought it was part of the revolution thing. Nigga, I came back from Mexico to Boston. My mom Daniel put a gun on my head. She's like, what the fuck are you doing with that fucking... In the airport, she cussed me out. And then I'm like, she cussed me the fuck out. My mom, it was damn near like a family meeting. Like, she called my grandfather. She called my father.
Tú puedes creer lo que Michael tenía puesto.
Straight up. Straight up. And I was like, I thought he was the it guy. Then they broke down. They told me like what it really, really, really was. And because they lived, they told me what it really, 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 really was. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I wish you would have fucking told me this 15 years ago when I had all these books. And because when you buy certain books about him, they have this misconception that, he was an asshole and then he was changing his ways. Then you get to the really, really true. He was an asshole from the beginning of the way, from the beginning to the end. And, he died like a bitch. With no honor.
He got sold out. Yeah, he got sold out. I used to be a Che. I used to be a big.
Castro sold him out. Go figure.
Castro, I'm gonna tell you a crazy Fidel Che Guevara shirt story. So that shirt one of those shirts that I bought in college, I took an overseas trip. Yeah, I'm gonna do my 30-minute talk right now, Casey. Get ready. Enjoy my story. So I went abroad, and when I came back, it was a red shirt with Che's face in black and yellow. And I came in and I flew into Philadelphia. And when I flew into Philadelphia, this was obviously after 9/11, all this shit, and they separating people on the lines. And obviously they're letting all the white people go. And then the brother, black dude, he was, and he waves me over. He comes over. He's like, sir, can you step over here? And I was like, fuck. Starts asking me some questions. And then there was these 2 lines on the floor. These 2 blue lines. And he says, sir, can you please step into the blue line, in between the blue lines, please? I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. So he starts asking me all these questions, and then his supervisor come over, and he starts like, being real formal. He's like, "Sir, do you have any marijuana? Where are you coming from? Do you have any drugs?" And I was like, "Yeah, whatever." The supervisor left, and then he, because he was, code switching. When the supervisor left, he kept it real with me. He's like, "Listen, young blood, I'm gonna keep it real with you. That shirt got you flagged by the U.S. whatever department." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, you're not supposed to be in the airport with Cuban propaganda. It's illegal because of the embargo." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, you could be arrested for that because that's considered whatever to the embargo." And then he said to me, "Just so you know, you better be real careful because when you're on that side of the line, you're in international waters. When you're on that side of the line, you're in the United States with U.S. laws. In between these two lines, you're in an area with no laws, and we could take you, and we don't have to give you any rights." And there was a door at the end of that quarter, and he's like, "So my man's chill, answer the questions, don't make no fuss, and you'll be able to get home tonight." Bro, I've never been so scared in my life. And then he said to me after it was done, he was like, "Listen, a word to the wise, you can have your political ideas, just don't manifest them in the airport like that." I was like, oh my fucking God, bro. I never wore that shirt after that. And then I started reading about Che, and I was like, yeah, this isn't the type of dude I really want to be rocking with anyway. But yeah, man, fucking story, bro.
Yeah, fuck, yo, nigga, I'm scared hearing that fucking story. And
yo, I got lucky. It was a brother that he did the code switching when the supervisor was there. He was like, "Yeah, sir, excuse me." And when the supervisor left, was an old white dude. He was like, "Young blood," like he kept it real. He was like, "I feel you. You one of us. We're trying to take care of you." That's what saved me. That's what saved me.
Yeah, man, yo, that's shit. And right now, even with Cuba, right now, there's people right now that have been there since even right now with Cuba with the whole Corona thing. You have people there in the island that still can't get out. They've been there since like fucking Thanksgiving. They won't let them. They have to pay. You have to pay like flying to Europe and then from Europe go back to the States.
Wow.
Because they won't let them out.
And that's hella bread.
That's one of the reasons. Yeah, that's the reason why my mom. I've been itching. Cousins told me that she got a friend right now that's out there, and she's been there since like December too. Yes, in December, and they won't let her out. They will not let her out. And if you're an American, oh, forget about it, because they see America, they're like, "Oh, these niggas got money," so you milking for everything they got. So if they tell you, "Hey, come to Cuba,"
that's
everything
crazy, bro.
is free. Do not fucking go, because you're gonna pay an extra money for whatever fees it is to get the help.
Nah, I'm good.
Do not go.
Dominican, can I go?
Good. Switch it up real quick.
Sure.
Wait,
Huh? You can go anywhere.
Yeah, he has a Dominican passport, right?
Yeah, but he can't. But if he comes from I'm not sure they're letting any planes land in Cuba from the United States.
Yeah, but you could go from the Dominican Republic.
That's
Yeah,
what
but either or. It's not with just American people. It's just everybody that's been stuck there. Because there's people from Germany, people from Spain. Like, they haven't been out. They've been stuck there for a while because they say they just want them to fly because they're using the whole Corona thing as a stick to make it to extort more money from them. So if you want to leave, you got to pay an extra.
Best thing I did was get my Dominican passport. That was like, I got my Dominican passport. I mean, it's expired now, but because there's a few places that going with an American passport is a fucking pain in the ass, like getting a visa. But
wait,
you get it with
you got both?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a dual citizen. I'm a dual citizen. And then when Sophia's old enough, I'm gonna give, even though she wasn't born there, I'm gonna give her citizenship. So I'm gonna sign the papers. I already
what do you have to do to be Dominican?
Do you not listen to Jay-Z, bro?
No, so here's one of the things. For me, it's really important. Like,
so I live along with you, Blue. I should be a Dominican citizen.
No, with Sophia, the one thing that I want to give my daughter is an opportunity to travel the world. She has an American passport and a Brazilian passport, and then I'll give her a Dominican passport. She can basically live in half the world without a problem. Like, that Dominican passport gives her passage to most Latin American countries. She's a U.S. citizen, so she'll easily get into European countries and so on, and then with the Brazilian passport as well. So, like for you, example, Casey, I think it's best thing for you to, if you don't have your Dominican papers, get them and then give them to your kids. And it's a way for them to also feel pride in being Dominican because
I lived there for 7 freaking years. I mean, and
yeah, but how long have your kids never lived there? It'll get to a point. Yeah, it'll get to the point where they feel less connected to being Dominican. But if they have that Dominican passport, because when you get Dominican citizenship, they give you a Dominican birth certificate, and you have to go to a local registry and sign your name in the birth book. So it's like they register you as if you were born in the Dominican Republic, and it's like these big books, and then you have to sign.
Sounds corrupt.
No.
Listen, it's annoying as hell when looking at records. I will say that.
Yo, Casey, we gotta go get our dual citizenship, bro.
Yeah, I had my mic on mute the whole time I thought I was talking.
no, good.
No, but listen to the Dominicans listening the podcast. I think the best thing for us to do is to get those citizenship papers and then pass them on to our kids. It's not a difficult process. It's not expensive. You could do it through a lawyer, but you could also do it yourself. The laws have changed in the last few years. You could do that from the United States in some cases.
They allow proxies?
Yeah, they allow proxies and lawyers to do it for you, but all you need to do is you'll get your mother's birth certificate and her documentation. You'll get yours. You'll get it translated. And then you'll go to this place called La Junta Central. You'll put the documents there. Yeah, Junta Central Electoral in Santo Domingo. And you'll register your papers, and then you go through, these processes, which, they suck. But at the end of the day, you'll get a Dominican birth certificate. How does that
work? When you go to another country, you can show them whatever passport you want, or you got to show them all of them?
No, you just depends. Like first of all, you have to declare that you're a dual citizen when you're entering the country. Because if they don't, they think your second passport is you're trying to scam. But for example, when I went to Peru, the visa to Peru was $150 with the American passport, but it was free with the Dominican passport. So when I got to the Peruvian immigration, I just showed them my Dominican passport. They let me right through. When I went to Bolivia, it was $40 as a Dominican and then $100 as an American.
How much was it in Bolivar? In Bolivares?
Oh, I don't remember. They don't charge you in. Yeah, no, I don't know.
What the fuck you mean? Like they charging you in pesos in DR?
No, por Bolívares, loco, que es más caro que es más barato que el diablo. So,
yeah, but at the border they charge most of
everything's in dollars.
Dollars.
Come on, bro. Even DR charges in dollars.
I know that, coño. Que usted no sabe cuánto es un bolívar, loco. $1.
No,
bolívares you know how much $1 is worth?
I have no idea how much.
Un millón de bolívares.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go over there just to be a millionaire.
And then you take that million and you'll buy a piece of gum.
Piece of gum, yeah.
Exactly.
Hey. I'm gonna take a picture of my bank account. I'm gonna make a bank account, put $1, and I'm gonna take a picture of that shit.
How is that even possible, bro?
Inflation, my man.
Inflation, my guy.
Loco, 1.558, loco. Eso fue en Bolívar. La Creta.
Inflation. Like right now, I'll give you a good example. Right now, $1 gives you 6 Brazilian real. And if you come from the US to Brazil now, you're balling the fuck out. Like you could take $10, $20, and you could do a whole bunch of stretch it out. You stretch out $20 here.
It's similar to I heard it's like that in Colombia also.
Yeah, with the million.
A lot of Latin American countries are like that. You stretch all the fuck out. Anybody see the movie Euro Trip?
In Dominican,
forever ago. I mean, come on, dude.
The what?
Nobody's rewatching that shit.
We're dating ourselves.
That was our
don't be dating us like that, Lou. What the fuck?
But it was a funny movie because when they went to like some Eastern Europe country, they had like 5 pennies. And then they were like balling the fuck out. I was like, yo.
I was like 3.
I don't think that's in Europe. It's like that because outside don't they allow them use pounds?
Well, now they use Euro, but Euro Trip was way early 2000s.
Yeah.
I was
like 3 years old.
So that
shit was not in the 80s.
Yeah, I was gonna say, relax. It was like 2001, 2002. It was right before the euro became a thing, right? Because the euro happened
I
like
was like 10.
2003, I think.
The Dominican
2002.
peso is
Who knows?
$1 Dominican pesos.
Maybe
But that's the thing with
Cuban.
the euro. I think the euro's been around for longer. It's just taken a long time to implement, and then other countries have been slowly adding it. But a lot of the Eastern European countries, they weren't allowed into the euro market because their economies were really unstable. They were the former Soviet countries, so like Bulgaria, Croatia,
Ukraine.
Yugoslavia.
Wasn't
Ukraine.
Greece having like they have like an economic
Okay, so the
meltdown
first
not too long ago?
euro banknotes were January 2002.
Okay. Well, with Greece, they had like a total economic collapse, and a part of the reason with Greece was that they just had no money because they were retiring at such an early age. Yeah, aging out, but they were retiring with high pensions that the government and the private sector had to keep paying out. So there was just too much money going out and not enough money coming in. And then then you had the Olympics.
There was a problem with the European Union too, with them, right?
Well, yeah, they did austerity measures on them because they were taking too much money. I mean,
they were borrowing too. Well, a lot of those problems came because of the Olympics, and I think a lot of people don't talk about how much the Olympics.
Dude, I don't want the Olympics anywhere near DR. Fuck that shit. The Olympics just fucks up everything.
Well, give me the brief story. What happened with the Olympics in Greece? Because I'm not really too familiar with that. Give me a brief.
It happened with everything with the World Cup too. That they'll like
World Cup does the same fucking shit too.
And then the countries will start building. The countries will start building like fucking stadiums and all kinds of crazy shit.
And infrastructure. You have to build bigger highways, bridges to be able to withstand the amount of people coming in for that event.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then once those people leave, all that income's gone, and now you're left with all the shit that you built, and sometimes most of those stadiums don't get used ever again.
Yeah,
at all. Yeah. There was a study done about the Rio Olympics.
That
the Rio Olympics.
Yeah, I saw that. It's called was it the movie? Oh, I'll tell you right now. Damn, the one with the blue parrot.
What?
Rio.
Oh, Rio.
I can't believe y'all sat there and waited for me.
Mute yourself. Mute yourself. You fucking asshole.
Have I told you how much I hate you, Casey?
This man said the documentary Angry Birds Rio. My guy, like, we don't have enough hate from Brazil. You're gonna bring this shit up too?
Yeah, exactly. Brazil don't like Casey right now.
My son loved that movie, so I don't know.
No, it was a great.
The movie's great, but like,
but you know that. Did you realize that around the time that Rio movie came out, Fast and the Furious was filming in Rio as well, and there was a whole bunch of Brazilian actors. The government was paying for that. The Brazilian government was paying for that.
For real?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, it was all propaganda. Because it wanted to get people excited about.
Oh, okay, that's right. The movie came out before. Yeah. That's right.
Rio, Fast and the Furious Rio, which was actually filmed in Puerto Rico. Rio the movie.
And DR.
Yeah, it was filmed in PR and DR. And so there was all this Rio propaganda. And then they say that the Rio Olympics is the highest shift of public income into private hands in world history. So the amount of money that Okay, yes. I'm gonna shut the fuck up now, Casey.
No, go ahead.
No, that's a scratch. Like wait,
it's
what?
a scratch because of what you said.
Yeah, say it again.
Come on, Lou. Get on this, bro.
Casey got me all fucked up. No, it was literally the shift of the amount of money that went from the public sector, which is the government, the people, taxes, into private hands, and then was taken out of Brazil into like European bank accounts and Swiss bank accounts, was the highest shift in world history. And we're not talking about just money. We're talking about land. Like the amount of people that got kicked out of their homes. And this happened in Greece. This happened. I think they did a report that the only country that actually came out on top after the Olympics was Sydney. Because what they did in Australia was that they built these infrastructures like 10 years before the Olympics, and they created programs so that they could use them before and after the Olympics.
Shit, that's smart. That's
And so
smart.
the stadiums were for school, programs were being used. When the Olympics came, they did the shift. And
I thought
they were ready.
I thought the real Olympics was before 2016. For some reason, I thought it was like 2012 or even earlier.
No, it was the World Cup was 2014. So it was
right.
the World Cup.
Yeah. That's crazy. You guys had so they had the World Cup there, and then right after that, Rio 2016.
It was awful. It was okay. So here's a crazy story. It was
shit.
How was
Sophia
that?
was.
I remember you telling me about this. Yeah,
No, it was awful. I got a lot of stories about that, but that was one of the worst periods of being in Rio because I was protesting a lot at the time. So I had been in Brazil for like 2 or 3 years, and Sophia was, I think, 2 years old at the time. And so the night of the final game, which was at the Maracana Stadium, which is down the street from where I live, Sophia was with me. Yeah, Maracana Stadium. I live, 5 minutes walking from there.
Right here.
And
That's a good story. Listen.
So Sophia was with me. And I took her to the stadium early in the morning, and it was a great vibe. And then we went into this little, park near where I lived, and we were there. We were chilling. It was, a festive mood. And about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the mood in the park has started to kind of change a bit. And I started to notice like a lot more political activity going on. And I was like, okay, it kind of felt weird. But Sophia was sleeping. It was still light out. And then there was a protest. They closed down an avenue, Conde de Bonfim, which is the main street in the neighborhood.
And what?
The name of the street is Conde de Bonfim. Is the name of the street that we were on. And
KC.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah. And
Man,
there was a protest.
Don't question Lou's Portuguese, man.
Portuguese is on point.
I wanted him to say it
shit's-
twice, so
the shit's on
the
point.
Portuguese audience, the Brazilian audience could judge him.
Laugh at him.
The Brazilian audience got to tell us.
Yeah, our two Brazilian listeners, which is
Nah, we got more than 2. We have 2 in Germany. We have more than 2 in Brazil, I think.
There you go.
There you go.
So on this particular, and I did a lot of protesting, but on this particular day, Sophia was with me. All of a sudden, the avenue was closed, and a marching protest was coming down. They were protesting the World Cup. They were protesting the illegal.
Is that what you were there for?
No, I was there because
with his daughter coming, you pay attention.
He said he was protesting.
No, I had been protesting up until then.
Okay, got you.
But on this specific day, I was just being a father with Sophia, and I will say this, I did take Sophia to a lot of protests when she was younger, just because I wanted her to, and I still take her sometimes, and we leave early, but just so she can understand like people having their rights and not being scared to manifest. And so anyway, but on this day we were just chilling.
What's up?
And then it was a teacher's protest, and one of the people that was at the protest was a good friend of mine, Thiago, and when I started talking to him, I was like, yo, what's going on? And he's like, yeah, this is, we're protesting against the closing of these schools, and the money from the World Cup has, salaries. And then he looked at me, he's like, yo, is that your daughter? I was like, yeah. He's like, yo, my man, you should leave here now. I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, yo, my man, just get your daughter, turn the fuck around, go home, don't ask no more questions. I gotta go. Yo, he just fucking dipped. I was like, oh shit, this started getting fucking scary. All of a sudden, I turned back around. My man, why was there a fucking like 200 RoboCops at that park? They started to close the park around, and I noticed what they had been doing. The police started to, in the area near around the stadium, close it off to protesters. Yo, I left 5 minutes too late. When I tried to cross the police barrier to get to the street to give access to my house, one of the police officers said, you're not crossing this line unless you live here. I was like, yo, I don't have any documentation. He's like, well, you're fucked. Mind you, I'm me with my 2-year-old daughter, and this cop was like, you're fucked. And I was like, oh shit. And then I started walking up the street to try to find an access way out of this plaza, this park. And that's when all hell fucking broke loose. They let out the cavalry. They started throwing fire bombs. They started throwing, pepper spray, mustard, tear gas, all of this shit. And I'm sitting, meanwhile, Sophia and I'm running with her at this point. So I'm pushing this little cart, and she's laughing. She's like, I'm like, yo, this girl is fucking. So we're trying to run out of this. And all I hear is boom, bang, boom, and people screaming and yelling and all this shit. And as I'm crossing the street, all of the stores are closing their doors one by one. And I'm like, yo, we're not going to get the fuck out of here. And the last store, it was like a little bakery. they had the metal doors that come down. The lady saw me running and she's like, come on. And I was like 50 yards away. She's like, come on. I literally ran and got to the store. And as she was closing it, she took Sophia from my hand. Like I kind of threw Sophia at her. She caught her. She threw Sophia into the store, to the bakery, and then threw my shit in there. And we stayed in there for like 3.5 hours, and then just hell broke loose at that plaza.
Shit.
Like they just fucked people up, billy clubs. They were, the police was, with the horses were running over people, like literally running over humans with horses. We stayed there for like 2.5 hours. That shit was not on the news. Like it was not at the news at all. And after like 2.5, oh my bad, go ahead.
Did she help anybody else?
Yeah, she did. That lady did help. Like there was like 3 other people that banged on the door and asked if they could come in, and she helped them, and they came in. And so while we were there, and mind you, at the time, I had no money.
Crazy.
I had no money. Not that I didn't bring any money. It's like because I was in such a bad financial situation, I only had like 5 real in my pocket, which wasn't enough to buy no food. And Sophia looked at me and she was starving. She was like, I want food. And I was like, I just didn't have no money to buy her nothing. And so the lady at she looked at me. She's like, do you want to order something? I said, nah, we're cool. And so the chef was behind the counter. He was like, oh, I'll take care of it. So he went back. He cooked up some French fries. He brought them up. He put them on the table. He didn't say nothing. And he literally basically looked at Sophia. He said, if anybody wants anything, this is for everybody to eat. And Sophia looked at me and she's like, kind of with that, like, yo, can I take one? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. So he fed her. He gave her some water. Bro, and I just my heart kind of broke at that moment because it was all this shit going on. This dude was feeding her, and then these people really kind of saved us at that moment. And
crazy.
So after the whole situation, so the pictures that Kelvin's looking at, that plaza, that's right before it happened. And so when to about 2.5 hours later, when things kind of calmed down a bit, I was like, yo, we need to get out of here because it was getting dark. It was nighttime, and that's when shit was gonna get fucking worse. And so she's like, yo, maybe you should stay here. We're gonna be here till night. That's fine. I was like, yo, I gotta bring her back to her mom's. And she's like, all right, well, then she prayed for me as we left. She prayed for me. She's like, let's pray. So she prayed for me. I really appreciated it. It kind of gave me some comfort. And so we left the bakery. We walked down the street, and then there was an access road. And there was a police barrier with, I think, like 15 or 20 cops on mounted horses. And the cop was like, yo, what are you doing? I was like, yo, I need to get out of here. My daughter. And he's like, yo, you're fucked. You ain't going nowhere. I actually might just arrest you just for the fuck of it. That's literally what the dude said to me. He's like, what kind of a parent are you bringing your child to this protest? Mind you, I wasn't there for the protest. I was there, as just whatever. And bro, I was scared. I thought, we was going to die or I was going to get arrested. And his commanding officer came from behind him yelling. It's like, what the fuck is going on here? I was like, yo, I'm sorry. I just want to get through. He's like, no, you're not the fucking problem. He's like, these shitheads, they don't understand what the fuck the police are for. We're supposed to be protecting citizens. Get the fuck out of the way, you piece of shit. So he started yelling at his troops because he was like, yo, are you harassing this dude with a daughter? And so they opened up the horses. Sophia was sleeping at the time, so she didn't really understand what was going on. We got through the police barrier, and I walked 2.5 miles around, these streets to try to find a way to bring her back to her mom's house because everything was locked down, like all the streets. There was rioting going on, all this shit, and then I finally brought her to her mom's house. Sophia didn't remember nothing. Her mom asked, "Oh, how was the afternoon?" I was like, "Oh, normal Sunday. Had some ice cream." And that was it. And I got pictures of that day. But yeah, Rio was fucking crazy. Rio was fucking insane. And like I said, I took Sophia with me enough protesting, so she understood. Like even today, I take Sophia to protest. I take her early. I take her to right wing protests and left wing protests. So
no, you don't.
Take her to I take her all the time. And she asked me because I need to. I don't want to tell my daughter what to think. I want to be able to tell my daughter to learn to think for herself. If 10 years from now, 20 years from now, she makes a decision on politics, I'm gonna be okay with that because I know I've taught her to take information and decide what's best for her. So yeah, man, Rio was fucking insane, bro. Rio was fucking crazy. and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. Oh, word? No. Do you like Donald Trump? Huh?
What?
He said no.
He said
You
no.
said you don't tell your kids what to think.
Oh, you talk.
Who muted me, bro?
No, I don't tell my daughter what to think on politics. We talk about politics a lot. You know what? Me and Sophia talk a lot about. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. That's actually a question I have for you, is because your daughter's a little older than my son.
How old is your son?
My son's 5. He just turned 5 last month. How do you feel about imposing your views on your child?
I don't impose my views on her. We talk about a lot of things. We talk about ideas. I don't ever tell Sophia think this or think that, but we talk about certain ideas that deal with just basic human decency. And if I can explain to her basic human decency, then I think she'll be able to make the right choices after that. But my daughters, I think we also got to give children credit. Like, so we have Bolsonaro, who's the president of Brazil. Sophia came to the house the other day and she's like, Dad, do you know who's the man with the big shit on his head? I was like, what? She's like, yeah, Bolsonaro. Because only a man who has shit in his brains could say and do the things that he does. And she's 8 years old. So
that's crazy. Nah,
so
dude, kids are smart,
you have
man.
free speech in Brazil, man. Get out of there.
Kids are smart. we don't
Do you
give
have free
them.
speech in Brazil, bro?
We don't.
Not really, actually.
Not like here.
gotta give-
But I
gotta
mean,
give
it's the same
kids-
thing in DR too, though. We got to give kids credit, though, man. Like kids know a lot more than what we give them credit for, and they understand a lot more than what we give them credit for.
I'll give you a great example of a conversation that I had with Sophia. I think it was last year, and I actually have pictures of when we had this idea. And I think I've mentioned this before, that in Rio, when you go out on the streets, I think like 9 out of the 10 the people that are living on the streets are Black. And she's asked me that question, and those are the moments that when a kid asks you a question, that's when you don't tell them think this way. You just explain to them, and they connect the dots. So I said to her, "Listen, sweetie, there's these issues that affect this group of people, and why was that relevant? Because not there was a few days before she had asked me for a crayon." And listen to this craziness. She had asked me for a crayon, and I said, "What color do you want the crayon?" And she said to me, "Oh, I want the normal color because I'm painting skin." And I said, "What?" And I was like, she's like, "Yeah, I want, the crayon that's skin color," which was a light pink crayon, because to her, the way she's taught in school, normal skin color is light white skin.
Yeah.
And so then we had that conversation about crayons and skin color, and I said to her, "But brown is normal." And she stopped and she's like, yeah, you're right, Dad. And then so we went out on the streets and she started asking questions about why is it that the people that we always see are Black. And then she literally asked you, she's like, "Are they lazy?" Because she's 7 years old. She doesn't understand like why people don't have homes.
Curious.
Yeah, there was no malicious intent in it.
Yeah, that's what happened the other day with my son. Same thing happened the other day with my son. Like he wanted to say a joke because he's into telling jokes and being funny, and he goes, "Daddy, because it was a little bit dark, he goes, Daddy, if grandma was here, because she's dark skinned, if grandma was here and she closed her eyes and didn't say anything, she will disappear." And I was like, I'm like, he's like, "Is it funny?" I was like, "Dude, you really can't," because he's light skinned. He looks like a white boy. So I'm like, "You can't say that."
But you giggle, didn't you? You gotta let me giggle.
I giggled.
I know I'm proud of you. The parent of you, but you're not supposed to say that, but even you're like,
we had that talk. So, because they hold me accountable for every time I say the N-word, because I've been trying to stop, just like Kelvin said it earlier. So I've been trying to stop, but it's hard sometimes when you're smoking, chilling, and blah blah. You're shooting the shit. You're like, "Yeah, about that," like, you know what I'm saying? But we had a little talk.
Feel you.
But
How did your son react to the talk?
He took it well. At first, he thought he did something bad. I'm like, "You didn't do anything bad." And I told him, it's just that the way things are going, because I've read the books to him about like the Juno Diaz one. I read the one that just came out, the bad hair one. I think it's called. My hair. I love my hair. I love my hair.
Love, hair love.
Is it hair love? No, it's like a little girl, a little brown skin.
Yeah. Who wrote that?
Hair love. I have that. I bought that for Sophia. Sophia wanted it, and I bought it for her.
So we've had
that.
the talk. We had the talk before. Like I've talked to them before about it. Like, and like when we like they like to listen to rap. When we listen to rap, I put it clean. And he goes, why you say clean? Because I'm like, because it says a lot of bad words and it says things that you shouldn't be hearing. And plus, I edit those too. I don't let them listen to certain shit. Like they never heard WAP. So
good man.
That's one of the things I've been thinking about. I was actually thinking about it this morning. Was like getting my son into hip hop. And obviously looking for the clean versions. He's 5. I'm not trying to get him to listen.
Biggie, bro. Yo, man, now that I
throw
thought
out
about
the
it,
fucking Biggie and let it rock. Nah. But no, that's interesting. I mean, for you guys, it's a little bit different. I'm obviously on the white spectrum of things, color wise. My son is darker skinned than I am, though. So it's
is your wife darker?
No, not really. It's because it's her dad. Her dad's
but her
very dark skin.
Yeah.
And her grandfather is, I believe they have Haitian heritage, I'm sure. Does
she identify at all as black? Does she ever say like I'm Afro Dominican?
My wife?
Or?
Nah, not really. I mean, she's literally almost.
She came here after
our son is darker than both of us.
Damn.
Okay.
Is what's crazy. So like it's a little bit interesting for me.
It could happen that Calvin, because I've heard that.
No, of course it happens.
Skip a generation. Like some people.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. Her brother's dark. I mean, her brother's way darker than her, and all her sisters are very light skinned.
Well, here's an interesting question, Calvin. And Alex, I know your moms and I know your family. So, but at any point, do you ever considered or thought about the African roots of being Dominican? I know we talked about the indigenous roots, but like specifically, do you ever say to yourself like, I'm kind of Afro-Dominican, or have you just never been forced to?
No, my dad always told us.
For me, it's hard. I did my ancestry test. And you guys seen the results. I think it comes up to like 19%.
African. Yeah, not for you. I mean, your grandparents, everybody.
So white. I mean, it's mostly, it's obviously mostly European, Spanish, Portuguese.
Yeah, no Taino at all. You have no Taino.
No, I have 10. It's actually 10% indigenous. So fucking relax. All right.
You're 10%.
Yeah. 10% indigenous, 19% African, and then it's like a couple percentages in the rest of Europe.
But in your guys' families, did the idea of like Haitianism or African heritage did that ever come up? Like
no, my family is very
white.
Yeah.
No, not really. Well, not on my mom's side. Not on my mom's side. No, they're not.
You got two tios that are in DR and they're black because of the sun.
we tan. No, that's a good point. We tan very easy.
Yeah, because when I was in DR, I'm like, you guys will go over there. Rick too will, every time you see me, he'll make fun of me like, yo, you black as hell. I'm like, yo, el diablo, pero
we tan easy. And my mom,
you guys have undercover melanin.
KC, mom's twin sister.
We got that melanin that really shows when we're over there.
Yeah, it's undercover.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
I said that mom's twin.
Yeah, mom's twin is
called La Negra.
Yeah, she's much darker than the rest of her family.
Hold on, your mom's a twin. Your mom has a twin.
Yeah, my mom has a twin.
That's crazy. One's white, one's black.
Yeah, so one's whiter than the other. Like I said, yeah, for me it's tough. Being that my kid's darker than I am. Trying to navigate it.
Do you ever have concerns about them?
I do, absolutely. Him being darker than me, the worst thing that ever happened to me was being confused for a Puerto Rican, right?
Why is that a bad thing? Hacho papi cabrón, porque soy malo.
El más berraco.
I know what you're thinking. Where can I find more? For full episodes of the Ruckus Podcast, you can check us out on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and your other digital streaming services. The Ruckus, it's organized chaos. Don't worry, we're working on getting Mike a better mic. Get it, Mike? And don't worry about it. You'll get it eventually.